Okay, so here we are, Richard. We're inside the book and we're talking about Josh.
Yep.
And he knows he needs to change his behaviors.
Right.
And what goals sorry, he knows he needs to change his behaviors. Now, I mean, Josh is going through a multitude of changes in his business and real estate and so on and so forth. But we have here, he says the goal tells us what to do today. However, there's one section of the book where he says he's still procrastinating and doing nothing but simply dreaming about what he'll do with his newfound riches. Like, he was on his way to the office and he was passing beautiful homes and he's dreaming about doubling his income and what it could mean to him and his wife and all this kind of stuff. Why do people do that? And the second part of it is, why do we get such big dreams, but people seem to continually procrastinate about taking those steps to reach those dreams? It brings us a little bit back to what you were talking about, The Secret. We've got these beautiful vision boards and we've got these, how riches come to you signs. But there's action steps missing. Why do people procrastinate, but yet they want it so bad? I mean, they really want it, but they don't get moving forward.
Well, I don't know, maybe, and again, I don't know how bad they really want it. It's like this. They say until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing, most people never change. So why is it that, somebody would maybe struggle with their health? And again, I'm just using health because everybody can relate to it. But it relates to everything else in our life. But then all of a sudden they have a heart attack and they decide to change their life. So until the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing, most people never change. I think what happens in some cases, and it's easy for us all, sometimes it's just easier not to do, you know what I mean? We're sort of in our comfort zone. I call it the comfort trap. The comfort trap is when we have just enough, but not enough. We have just enough. It's okay, right? It's like somebody, they stay in a relationship that isn't so good. Why? Well, you know what I mean? I guess it's better than not having anybody, or maybe I'll never find anybody else. So that they're not really living their life to the fullest. They're settling. Right? They're settling for mediocrity. So that tells me that how bad do they really, really want it? Because when you really want something, you will find a way. We always do. But again, I think if you read Think and Grow Rich, it talks about desire. So again, how bad do you really desire it? Because when we really want something, human beings are amazing. How can 120-pound female lift a car off a child? Like, how's that possible? Like, and you read stories like this that are incredible, like just amazing feats, and you're going, how did that happen? Hey, the human spirit is amazing. The human spirit can accomplish anything. But sometimes, we're in our comfort trap. We got just enough, but not enough. It's like, somebody said to me one time, they said a lot of people spend the first half of their life telling about all the things are going to do, in the second half clear on what is, that one thing you're really going to work towards. So I think there's a multitude of reasons, but again, I do believe sometimes we're conditioned a little bit by mediocrity because we look at everybody around us, and if you think about, they say that, show me your 5 closest friends, and I can show you the rest of your life, right? Like, because we get conditioned by the people we're around. And if you think about this, I remember something that happened in my life that I'm so fortunate. Why these things happen, I don't know. But when I was 24 years old and I first got my real estate license, I met somebody by the name of Terry Windrum. He was about 5 years older than me. And Terry was doing really well, had a nice house, had a good marriage, just seemed to have everything figured out. And I'm just starting out. He inspired me. You know what I mean? Like I got inspired by watching him, and I thought to myself, I want to do better. I want to be a part of that circle. And then he introduced me to a lot of his friends, which were all a little bit older than me, and I started to become conditioned by that environment. And the more I get conditioned by that environment, I go, boy, I can do that. But if you're in an environment and they're doing less than you or the same as you, then quite often you'll just settle for that because that's the environment you're in. It's like going for a walk. Think about this. If you go for a walk, if you and I, Dan, we go for a walk, And if I start to pick up speed, then one of a few things are going to happen. Number one is we're going to separate, right? Number two, you're going to pick up speed, or number two, I'm going to slow down. Three things are going to happen. Well, it's the same in our relationships, right? If you start to make major changes and your spouse isn't interested in making those changes, your friends aren't interested in making those changes, you start to become conditioned again. You know, just like they say, if somebody's dealing with alcoholism, they shouldn't be hanging around people that drink because you'll start to drink again. You know, so I think sometimes conditioning has a lot to do with it. I think sometimes we've got to step outside of that conditioning and look honestly and say, the relationships that I have in my life, are they really healthy? You know, maybe they are, maybe they're not, but have a look at those relationships. Maybe I need to develop some more relationships. Maybe I need to get really clear on what it is I want and get really passionate and be willing to pay any price for it. You know, so I think there's a multitude of reasons that a lot of people, they desire more, but they're probably not willing to pay the price.